was camping with two of my college friends in a remote forest in Pennsylvania. We wanted to be completely isolated. No phones, no cabins, just tents and a fire. The first night was fine. We cooked hot dogs, told ghost stories, and fell asleep to the sound of crickets. But the second night, that's when everything changed. Around 2 in the morning, I woke up to the sound of footsteps crunching leaves outside my tent. At first, I thought it was one of my friends getting up to use the bathroom. But when I unzipped the flap slightly and peeked out, I saw something that made my stomach drop. A man, tall, wearing a dirty flannel shirt and jeans, was standing about 15 feet from our campfire. He wasn't moving, just staring at our tents. I froze, too scared to breathe. I wanted to wake my friends, but I was terrified the man would hear me. I quietly zipped the flap shut and lay there, listening. The footsteps started again, slow, circling our campsite. Then, the sound of something brushing against my tent fabric. Finally, I couldn't take it anymore. I whispered my friend's name, too loud. The footsteps stopped. Silence. After what felt like forever, I heard fast crunching, running into the woods. My friend eventually woke up, and I told him everything. In the morning, we found deep boot prints all around our campsite, but they didn't lead back to any trail, only deeper into the forest. We packed up and left that same morning. None of us have camped again since. This happened to me and my cousin when we were 16. We camped by a lake in Maine that was rumored to be haunted, but we didn't believe in that stuff. The first night went smoothly, but on the second night, as we sat by the fire, we heard what sounded like a woman screaming across the lake. It wasn't faint, it was blood-curdling. It echoed through the trees, bouncing off the water. My cousin thought maybe someone was in trouble. We got our flashlights and shouted across the lake, asking if they were okay. No response, just another scream. This one was louder, closer, almost as if it had moved to our side of the water. We panicked. My cousin grabbed the hatchet we brought, and I clutched the flashlight, shaking. Then, just as suddenly as it started, the screaming stopped. The woods went dead silent. No crickets, no frogs, nothing. We didn't sleep that night. At dawn, we packed up, but before we left, we noticed something chilling. Across the sand near our tent were barefoot footprints, dozens of them, leading from the water to our campsite, but no footprints were leading back. A few years ago, my parents rented a small cabin in the mountains for the weekend. It wasn't glamping, it was more like a wooden shack with barely any electricity. I was 14, and I remember feeling uneasy the whole time. It was too quiet. The second night, a storm rolled in. The rain was heavy, and the wind kept slamming branches against the roof. My parents went to bed early, leaving me alone in the small living room. That's when I heard it, knocking on the cabin door. At first, I thought it was a branch, but then it came again. 3 slow knocks. I froze. My parents didn't hear it, so I whispered for my dad, but he didn't wake up. I slowly walked to the door and peeked out the tiny window. A man was standing there, drenched from the rain. He wasn't wearing a jacket, just a white t-shirt, completely soaked. His head was down, so I couldn't see his face. I backed away, heart racing. That's when I heard him speak, but it didn't sound right. His voice was monotone, almost robotic. "Can you let me in?" I screamed for my dad. By the time he got to the door, the man was gone. I used to work at a summer camp as a counselor. Most nights the kids were too tired to stay up late, so we'd sit by the fire until lights out. One night, another counselor and I were walking back to our cabins when we noticed a man standing in the shadows near the tree line. At first, we thought it was one of the older campers sneaking around, but as we got closer, we realized it wasn't. He was tall, older, and holding something in his hand. It looked like a hunting knife. We froze, unsure if we should run. Then, without warning, he sprinted into the woods. We reported it to the camp director, but when the police came, they couldn't find anyone. For the rest of the summer, kids reported seeing someone standing by their cabins at night. But every time adults went to check, he was gone. I still wonder if he was watching us that night, or waiting. My friends and I went hiking in Colorado and stumbled upon what looked like an abandoned campsite. 2 tents, a fire pit, and some camping gear. But something about it felt wrong. The tents weren't zipped, and the sleeping bags were still inside, laid out as if someone had just left. We assumed maybe hikers left in a hurry, but the food supplies were still there, even a pair of boots. That night, we set up our own camp about half a mile away. Around 1 a.m., I woke up to faint voices outside. At first, I thought it was my friends talking, but when I listened closely, I realized the voices weren't familiar. They were whispering, multiple people, and they were coming from the direction of the abandoned campsite. Suddenly, a man's laugh echoed through the trees. It wasn't a happy laugh. It was deep, guttural, almost mocking. We grabbed our stuff and left in the dark, stumbling through the woods with just our flashlights. To this day, I don't know what happened at that abandoned site, but I'm certain someone or something never left it.